Hello, welcome to the 8th plot. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you've watched our Honest Movie News video based in the Aliens universe. Now, I love the Alien universe films. Well, let's say most of them. Definitely Alien and Aliens are definitely my favourite. And one of the reasons I like them is because they answer the what if question it poses really well, in a way that is horrifying and frightening and kind of cool and very unique and like the xenomorph design has been like copied relentlessly across video games and other books and other monsters as well from fiction. It was a game changer in sort of creature design. And so the what if question the films propose is, what if a deadly alien creature was loose on a spaceship? That's probably why it has the tagline, "In space, no one can hear you scream." It's specifically putting the alien inside a spacecraft surrounded by vacuum. It's not on a planet. It's not a lion. It's not a crocodile. It's nothing vicious like that. It's a very, very deadly creature on board. A very claustrophobic and tension-filled sort of setting. Now, this isn't really an original concept. The creature, the vicious alien creature, Alien wasn't the first to do it, but it gets more originality, and it kind of answers the question really well by posing a very, like, the parasitic nature of the alien is very original. The design by Geiger is crazy scary and very, it's very disturbing to look at, and that's so different from anything that's come before, and you truly feel frightened by this alien creature. And Aliens ups the ante with a bit more lore and a different kind of tension, where now they can fight back. They're on a planet, but it's about the alien queen now, and it's about Newt, and it's about Ripley dealing with having been asleep for 50 years and then having to face this nightmare once again. A nightmare that can literally burst out of your chest, and it's horrifying. So the Alien universe answers its main question very well. But in the news report, we obviously explored the plot point in the Alien films, which perhaps isn't so good. It's the idea that the Weyland-Yutani Corporation wants to turn the xenomorph into a living weapon. Now, this has obviously been done a couple of other times, most recently in Jurassic World, where they tried to make the Velociraptors, I guess the Adominus Rex, and that other dinosaur, I couldn't even bother to remember its name. But the one that could be, for some reason, you would point a gun at a person and then the dinosaur would attack the person. It's stupid. And that plot point is considered kind of dumb for the Alien universe. Like, this is a terribly intelligent, vicious creature. You can't control it. Why are you even spending trillions, I think the Yutani Corporation spent, just trying to get your hands on it so you can turn it into a weapon? And obviously in that Honest Movie News film, we made the point that they've already got mech suits that can take these things on. They've obviously got robots, which are super strong, and they've also got guns which took out hundreds of these aliens before they could even get to the Marines and Bill Paxton and Ripley inside the colony base in Aliens. So it doesn't make sense. But what I want to explore in this video is perhaps that could be made to make sense. In war, humans have been using animals to aid them in conflicts, and very rarely does it actually gets an animal to be the weapon itself. This was tried a couple of times. Now, horses, war elephants, and even sort of dogs have all been part of warfare for centuries, but they either carry people to the battle. They're not the weapon itself, and like dogs provide the minesweeping or explosive finding, drug finding, all that kind of thing that's relevant in warfare, but rarely is a dog used as a form of weapon, because you can't use animals as a weapon. You can't capture 100 tigers, train them to attack whichever soldier you want them to attack and let them go. They're wild animals. They can't be trained in that manner. And dogs have been trained to attack people, but that's not a suitable weapon, really, and a gun will take out a dog, as cruel as that sounds. And yes, it would be cruel to use an animal as a weapon in warfare. Just watch War Horse and you'll understand the cruelty inflicted upon animals during wartime. But there were several attempts to turn animals into weapons. There was this idea where the Russians had during World War II, where they would strap bombs to dogs and they train the dogs to run underneath enemy tanks, and then as soon as they were underneath, a switch would be thrown and they would, unfortunately, the dog would blow up, and so would the tank. It never worked, because when they released the dogs, they had only trained them on Russian tanks, not German tanks. So on the battlefield, the dog's going German tank, German tank. That's the one with the food, and they ran under the Russian tanks and blew them up, unfortunately. So that never worked. The Americans also tried making little sort of vests for bats, filled with napalm. And the idea was to release them over Japan, and Japan's cities were quite a lot made out of quite a lot of wood, and so the expectation is the bats would roost in the Japanese houses and blow up, and a firestorm would then occur. They were abandoned because they released the bats in a test, and the bats only roosted in the aircraft hangars of the planes that had dropped them off. So the Americans lost a lot of hangars during that fiasco. So it doesn't really work to turn animals into weapons. But I have had an idea for a book, and I'm just going to give it away for free because I don't think I have time to write it, and maybe I can't do well by it. So here's my idea for actually writing a plot where, using a vicious alien, I think it would have to be, I guess you could make it a fantasy, but either way, science fiction, an alien used as an actual biological weapon where it would be useful. So here's my scenario, and it does kind of play into criticisms people have of science fiction universes. Take the film Independence Day, for example. The aliens want the resources on our planet. That's what they're primarily there for. And the film suggests that they'll just use out the planet Earth and then skedaddle. But why invade a whole planet to gain access to resources that are abundant in asteroid belts? Like even water, a primary source of the starting blocks for all life, is ubiquitous across the universe. You don't need to invade a planet to get your hands on it. So why are aliens always invading our Earth anyway? And therefore, I thought, why, if it's not for resources, because there's even plans to actually capture an asteroid and harvest the gold and other rare metals inside. So if we're doing it, why do aliens need to keep invading? So I needed a reason to think about, why would aliens really invade Earth? And to be honest, Earth is worth invading if you want a nice place to settle down. You can't settle on an asteroid, you can't settle on a moon. They have no atmosphere, there's no greenery, there's no dirt, and so on and so forth. So obtaining Earth would be worth it for lovely scenery, a chance to scientifically study new animals and new flora and fauna. And then there's the fact that it's a pretty nice place to live. However, you probably couldn't invade Earth without completely wrecking it first. Go back to our Independence Day example, humans might have completely nuked the planet in an attempt to destroy it to make it unpalatable for these aliens to stay here, and then they would go. So in any war to conquer a planet, it's going to cause mass destruction and death, and those things are going to kind of spoil that planet that you wanted. So in this scenario, aliens are invading Earth not for its resources, but to have perhaps some more living space, of all the connotations that that has attached to it, that phrase, or they want it just because it's a nice place to be, but they can't attack it without completely wrecking it. So they come up with a solution, and their solution is to prevent technology from being all that useful in conflict. So like rockets and missiles, bombs, all the kinds of things that cause mass destruction require some technology to make them function effectively. So maybe the aliens prevent human technology from working. Maybe that prevents the alien technology from working as well. And so the only way to really attack a planet is by using animals, trained, bred, incredibly loyal, who can be the weapons that the aliens can't use. So in my book idea, this invasion would happen. The aliens would rock up to planet Earth. They would cover the Earth maybe in like an EMP field or something similar. Insert sci-fi nonsense. And humans can't fight back with all their weapons, especially not the most dangerous kind, and the aliens can't fight with theirs. But that's fine with the aliens, because what they have are different animals that can be weapons, completely at the control of their alien masters. So the battlefield would be humans going in with perhaps like knives, swords, shields, maybe some guns that would work, in, you know, that even the aliens couldn't stop them. But maybe they're useless against the other half of the battlefield, where aliens are walking across, Beastmasters kind of aliens, and they've got something that looks like a dog that's completely vicious, maybe a flying creature that's very vicious, looks like a xenomorph or another variation of, like a Tyranid in Warhammer 40k, which is another variation of the xenomorph. Something like that, something that's terrifying and has a sort of biological structure to it that is completely, almost impossible to overcome conventionally. So the aliens are using these creatures to thin the herd of humans. I guess you could think of them like the mimics in it's called All You Say. What was it? Sorry, I can't believe it left my mind. It's that Tom Cruise film, and The Edge of Tomorrow. Sorry about the delay. The Edge of Tomorrow. So those, they don't use like weapons, they're just creatures who have a biology that can kill humans regularly. So that's what the battlefield looks like, and humans are losing this battle until, and this is the book idea I had, the main character somehow kills one of the Beastmasters, and that allows them to take control of the alien creatures. Then the loyalty switches to the human. And that human is the first of many who continually do this. And humans start fighting back with the creatures that were being used against them. And that creates a entirely new kind of battlefield situation, and also sort of action set pieces as well. And it kind of allows this whole idea of a biological weapon, a creature being used as a weapon in a novel setting without it being too ridiculous. It's, what else could you use? You need to fight fire with fire. That's the thing that has to happen in warfare. So one side creates this weapon, you need to create the counter. Torpedo, depth charges, and planes, air-to-air missiles. It's the way, unfortunately, that warfare, the progression of warfare has been. And I think that's a good setting. That's a good situation for you to write a book where you can have your biological weapon and eat it too. Have your cake and eat it too. You can use, you could finally imagine a creature like the xenomorph being loyal, being a weapon, having some form of relationship with a human being. I once had this very strange dream where I actually had a pet alien. The whole idea was that every human has one, where every human agrees at some point in their life to have a face hugger on their face, and then the alien is removed surgically, and then that alien stays with you your whole life, kind of like a pet dog. And that was almost like, that made me wonder, why doesn't someone do that in the Alien universe, where a xenomorph and human are actually kind of allies, maybe against the engineers or the predators who are also a part of this universe. And so, like, I want to see a story where the terrifying creature is on the side of the human beings. Now you could say, what about something like How to Train Your Dragon? And that's not quite the same. A dragon isn't, they're a monster. It's not the terrifying monster that xenomorph is. And so why can't we have a story where that idea of animal as a weapon actually works? And in Jurassic World, for example, or all of Jurassic Park, it's about the hubris of man to think that he can control the world. But we do control a lot of the world to some extent. We do manipulate the world for good and bad. And maybe the story could be something different about with our relationship to something so terrifyingly horrendous. In my book idea, it was going to end like this, where the aliens retreat, they sign a peace treaty, they leave Earth, and now all those vicious animals which are now on the humans decide, well, we've got to get rid of them. We can't have these creatures lying around, we can't free them, and so they start euthanizing those putting down those animals. But our hero has grown so attached to, yes, her terrifying collection of animals that she used to help win humanity their war, that she would actually go on a very perilous mission to return them to the aliens, maybe even sacrificing herself in the progress by doing that. And that's a very different, that's about our relationship with perhaps the truly worst animals we think of on our planet that actually have use and function in the ecosystem, and we've got to respect that. And it's also about mankind's bonding, the way mankind bonds with all the various creatures in the world. It's not just dogs, there's plenty of animals that we can have very close relationships with. And so why not make the story about that? And the twist is that it's a xenomorph-like creature. Well, there you go. We do all these what if and further exploring the ideas in films mostly. So go check out the other Honest Movie News videos, and check out this similar subsequent video that sort of pairs with them. Thank you very so much for watching both of them. Please like and subscribe, obviously. Check out my books. I'm wearing gear from Stolen Futures universe. We'll soon have the third and fourth book on the way. And there we go. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Good night.